creating something beautiful in the world, it's art. You have to be able to design that more decentralized system.
Hey, my friends, Jordan here. Just a few words before we hop into today's episode. First and foremost, a sincere thank you and appreciation for all of our early listeners, readers, and supporters at Going Direct. It's really what keeps me going to do this each and every week, because there's clearly a community of folks out there looking to build a going direct economy, which gets me super excited. Secondly, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Our main channel and community is forming over on Substack. The link is in the show notes below. And we'll also be putting out our weekly conversations at YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I hope you all have a great day, and remember to go direct.
All right. The first ever in-person Going Direct podcast.
I'm very happy this is happening with me then. Cheers.
Cheers, Rafik. So this is the first to many, hopefully.
So this time I'm asking a few questions. So let's go back to what we were talking about previously.
Sure.
So how is it for you, this podcast venture? How are you enjoying it? And I would like to know the struggles you're having.
Yeah.
And then where do you see it going?
So it's been a little over a year since I started.
Already a year?
Yeah, it's been a year. So I think I'm like 50 conversations in. But this is something that has been on my mind that's been kind of forming for several years. That I didn't know really what it was and what it actually meant for several years. And I was this idea of like decentralization in the real world, getting closer to the products that we buy and people that make them, and creating these decentralized systems to do that. Like that was something that's just been like an ongoing process for me to kind of, I don't know, kind of drill down into the three pillars of building this going direct economy. Mm-hmm. And so, when I started on this journey, I'm like, I don't
actually.
Yeah,
I just understood what going direct means just now, because I thought going direct as a podcast going online, but it's going direct, same as going directly to the customer.
Exactly.
God, I'm just
mind blown.
After I understand the play on words. Okay.
Yeah. So the whole idea being we are inside of a middleman laden, highly financialized economy where no one makes anything.
Yeah. You're talking to a crypto guy, so I completely understand.
So that's the backdrop of this. And it's like, obviously the current system's not working for the vast majority. And so I believe that decentralized systems are the way to create the most amount of prosperity for the greatest number of people, just inherently. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until this kind of these emerging technology with AI and robotics kind of coming together where I'm like, oh, actually you can start to build some pretty compelling, highly automated systems, AI native systems that can be more decentralized and more localized and actually compete. Yeah. So I think until I saw kind of the pace of what the technology was doing, where it was going to enable these new business models, it was kind of a pipe dream, right? This idea of like localized production, decentralized facilities.
And you were also on food. I remember you were looking for decentralized way to produce food, which is a hard step.
Well, I mean, it's funny because, food has always been inherently decentralized, right? In the US, it's not. But yeah, food is just one of the industries, and specifically in the US, we've just completely botched it. We've completely messed it up. It's not even about the food anymore. It's really a multimodal transportation system. And so, back to your question, this has really just been a discovery for me. And most people, because it's a wide variety of topics, this idea of like there's three pillars to the going direct economy. There's decentralized production. Mm-hmm. There's how do you build more highly automated, more decentralized production capabilities. There's this kind of middle layer, which is wholesale distribution.
Yeah.
How do you turn wholesale distribution in the real economy to where distributors are more like connectors versus gatekeepers that stand in between the customer and the producer?
Yeah.
And then the last one is kind of this direct marketing pillar, which is just the coordination of independent creators and going direct to your audience, which is obviously media was the first to fall, and I think many other industries hopefully will follow suit. So this is like a complicated, like overarching kind of framework in like worldview. And so that's how I describe it. It's kind of my worldview. I've committed to kind of doing, a first 100 conversations. And what's been really fun about that, beyond being able to connect with like-minded folks from a variety of different industries, you actually are speaking to people every week who spend their entire lives focused on like really interesting problems and building these new technologies and systems to create a more decentralized world. And the amount you can learn from these people. And so there is just like nuggets and there's just basically a mound of amazing information and insight in these recordings. And so the idea is, once I kind of get 100 in, then really, really dialing in the communication, the repurposing the content to really support the people's work that I'm having the conversations with. So,
okay, I get it now after 1 year. So I have so many questions. I would love to know if you're struggling, because every time I see a new conversation you pop online, I'm like, how did he get to know this guy? How did he get to connect with this person? How did he know about this technology or this writer? One time you spoke with a guy who wrote a book on, and how do you struggle to get them? And if you don't, or if you do, how do you get to find those people?
that's a good question. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's a small little niche podcast right now, because it's kind of not my day job. It is part of what I do. And it's my belief system. So, it's very straightforward. It's just when I read something really interesting or I watch something really interesting, I do cold outreach, or if there's someone that I know that they mention on the podcast and it's an introduction, that's kind of how it flows. One of the things people always say is, and this is how you and I know each other, it's, you start with your friends and you start with your close network, and we'll talk about it, but kind of your journey in Heliosand, and I'm an early investor in the venture, and that's how we originally met. You just start with that because you realize those are the people that care about you and what you're thinking about and who are going to support you, and vice versa. So, so to answer your question, no, plenty of people respectfully say no, of course, they don't respond.
Okay.
But I think I'm just very straightforward with what I'm trying to do. It's like, I'm clear. It's like, I'm not like, this is about like building a really good corpus of content and building a really intentional community around it. And like, even throughout this process, just being able to connect with other people that I've had conversations with other people in the community and in my network, like that's the fun for me, So
you're not struggling. You're enjoying every moment of it. And
dude, let me be clear. It's a slog. It is, because it's a labor of love. And,
yeah.
And, I guess it goes back to what are your goals? My goal is not to like compete with other, podcasters, or there's a shitload of content coming out every day. People's attention are split into a million different directions. And so, I'm just more of like, what are the things that I'm interested in that exude this kind of value set and kind of future that I want to help build? So,
yeah. So your point is to do 100 podcasts, and you will learn so much of it. And it's also for us. I mean, I've been listening to a couple of them, and I've been learning a lot of stuff that I didn't even know there were so many people looking into decentralized production, and even myself. So since I have a technology of recycling horrible waste, I realized what I'm doing is also a decentralized way of. So you and I met and went into business without even knowing. So the belief system. In fact, you built that belief system because you had the several sensitivities and interests, and you sort of made it into rigorous way of thinking. Because I only thought about decentralization with finance.
Sure.
I thought,
Yeah, for sure.
so how did it come to you? How did you discover it was that?
Oh man, it was like a journey, right? Because it was I struggled with it for I don't know for like 3 or 4 years because I was like, what is this next chapter going to be for me? And when I realized was when I look back and after a few years in Silicon Valley working at a private equity firm, and I went back to Detroit. And I spent over a decade there doing really deep community building work. I started a commercial real estate development firm, really focused on economic development and like creating jobs for Detroiters and attracting talent back to the city when the city is going through bankruptcy. And what I realized was the reason why I was doing that work was around how do we move back towards a production-oriented economy? So how do we start making stuff again? And my thesis in Detroit was where I'm from, like we make stuff there. We have the supply chains. That's our differentiator.
It's the birth
Yeah.
of American manufacturing, right?
Well, the automotive, cars, automotive, the big three. So, and when I stepped back and I said, my work never had to do with real estate. That was just a vessel. And that was just like also an investment opportunity, long-term investment opportunity. But it was really about this idea of how do you kind of start thinking about building like more localized communities, more localized communities, shrinking supply chains, building space for companies making things again. That's like what the ethos of what we were trying to do. And so what I realized was I was doing all along the way and then making a lot of different angel investments. And I was just realizing that there are all these little pieces. And I'm like, I have to put this together somehow.
Yeah, it has to make sense.
It has to make sense. And then what was happening was it was really through my angel investing work where I was like, because I was paying attention to what different emerging technologies and what was going on, and then geopolitically what's happening, where the world's going. And 5 years ago, I was like, 5 years ago is when I started investing in industrial tech. This is now it's like everyone's like jumping on the bandwagon. Partly is because I'm more of a real economy guy. But secondly, like I just saw that's where we were going geopolitically. That's where we were going. Like we didn't have any other choice. And COVID showed us that. So anyway, and then when I saw AI and robotics develop at this level of where it is today in the ChatGPT moment, and now in physical AI, I was like, okay, so we know if we want to create more decentralized systems and more localized production and get closer to the products that we buy, like it all starts with production, obviously.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until, now these technologies are coming that decentralized production in certain industries could actually become a thing, like a real thing.
Make it doable, you mean?
Correct. Make it doable.
Yes, because
that's a problem with you Europeans. You guys are too you guys are too altruistic around the free market is brutal.
Yeah.
So anyways, so it's the decentralized production. And then this theme of wholesale distribution, which was when you think about, this is how really it started for me. I was like, there's all these distributors who are gatekeepers in the physical world industries. Like you have to work through them to get any type of distribution. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, when you think about what they do, they were designed around the last industrial revolution. So think about this, right? They were designed around these large centralized systems. So they provided amazing value because they were providing logistics and trucking and warehousing and aggregating products for the buyer and doing all this stuff. And then I was like, all that's going to be commoditized away to zero. So if you think,
what do you mean?
Trucking's going to go to autonomous trucking, warehousing's going to be wildly automated. And then you have more and more perfect markets. So all these kind of middlemen are going to continue to get squeezed.
Okay.
So my whole thing was like, well, if we know that's the case and you have more and more access to like information, then the wholesale distribution model needs to change. And so the only way you can do that is you have to vertically integrate. If you both produce and you self-distribute, which is a conversation we can get into, or if you do have this distribution layer, it should function much more like a network versus a gatekeeper. So it's how do you connect buyers and sellers directly, not say, hey, work through me, but you don't even know who your customer is.
So, in your opinion, what country is the most suited to decentralize production? Because let's say we have three poles. Asia with India and China, which is the biggest manufacturer. Then you have Europe, which manufactures a little. Then you have America. Africa, unfortunately, is not a producer.
Yeah.
They're resource-based economy. But South America has production. North America has production, not that big, not as big as Asia.
Of course.
Europe has also very specific, like luxury watches and brand-oriented
Yeah.
manufacturers. So, which one of those three poles, in your opinion, is going to be able to go to decentralized production? It's hard to say. Huh?
It's hard. I mean, listen, China's just from, and I haven't been, so this is just anecdotally from everything I see, everyone I speak to, but what you see and what you read and what I know, they're just so far ahead.
Yeah.
It's just not even. And so, but then this is where kind of geopolitics comes in. This is where industrial policy come in. And so one of the things that I go back to when you ask me is, I go back to like disposable income. And the United States is the wealthiest nation in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think about, you ask this question about decentralized production, I think which means you need to have more domestic demand for the things that you're producing.
Yeah.
And with just the ethos of the United States and Americans, like I think America is the most interesting from an end market standpoint because they have the consumer market. I just don't know. We have a lot of challenges, I would say, just to get there.
So from the podcast you've been doing, it's mostly American people, right? It's
Man, you came with a lot of questions. I like it.
Yeah, I have many questions that I couldn't ask during listening to your podcast. So now I asked them. So because here in Europe, you have decentralized way of doing agriculture. It exists. You have little wine makers, you have little producer, but it's not generalized. Okay, you can find it here and there. Italy is very good with decentralized production. It's small size companies, family companies.
Sure.
But Europe in itself is copying the American model badly.
Sure.
But America has the only one. I mean, it's the only intellectualized or thoughtful way of seeing decentralization. Here in Europe, we just have a guy who wants to produce honey that is not from the supermarket. And then you get this, okay? In America, I mean, the podcast you've done, it's people nearly going through philosophy of what is decentralization.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the US isn't the right terrain for that.
I would say the US is such it's what I know, so the best. So it's obviously I'm the most comfortable there. But what's so interesting about the US is because it's so big, and the way that manufacturing was set up and how we ship goods and everything is just this really unique use case for more decentralized production. Because so if you take France, for example, you made this comment around one of the things I love about it in Europe is, the more artisanal culture, the more localized production and everything, like the government protects it. In society, it's the respect you have for the butcher and the baker is like, I love it. I think it's such a special thing and it affects your daily life. Cool. So back to your question, I think the Europe and specifically France, I have a lot of experience in France, it's just because you're in a much smaller geographic area, so it's easier. So I think the thing about the US, which is unique, is it's very big. And so you have a big playground, I would say, to figure out different models. And then you do have the consumer culture.
Yeah. And in Europe, tech is never going to be decentralized. That's the issue. So,
Well, you can say the same in the U.S., right?
yeah, you think so? Yeah.
You can hear everyone. I know. What do you?
It's not possible, in your opinion, to decentralize tech because it's all coming from the Silicon Valley, most of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Miami is trying to be a tech hub. Harvard is a huge tech hub for med tech and stuff like
Yeah,
this.
biotech.
Biotech. Even New York has a lot of tech, interesting people, but elsewhere, even Texas, who's bringing in more and more tech
Sure.
people, has less influence and less creativity and less opportunities than those poles. So what I'm trying to say here is that decentralization is a huge, difficult thing to do. And here in Europe, we have about food and artisanal stuff, but tech is, you don't have artisanal tech here in Europe. And I don't see it in the US.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing, right? Most people say, obviously, you're going to see more and more of the barbell economy, the concentration of wealth. People, that's their fear, that you're just going to see more centralization of everything versus decentralization. I've had several conversations with folks on the pod, much smarter than me on this thing, and a couple of things I've really appreciated is. One of them is kind of they described it as like a yin and yang. So it's really not about, is centralized better, decentralized better. It's just about when the centralized system gets so sclerotic and messed up and it's just not providing a good product or service to the people, something better comes along.
Yeah.
So it's like the world you constantly kind of swing back and forth between centralization and decentralization over time. And one of the interesting things about was, if you think about it, it's like everything back in the day was decentralized.
Yeah, in the 19th century,
Yeah.
80% of humans were entrepreneurs, meaning small artisans.
Yeah. And so it's like, so everything, so it's like, just think about how it was then, learn from then, and apply modern day technologies to what we're doing, and hopefully somewhere in between.
Yeah.
No, but and then the second one, which has been a really interesting learning, and I want to get your perspective on it as well, is, and this is more of like from like the VC standpoint, which is, because I've spoken to a few folks that decentralization is not like a theme of theirs, but they've invested in several companies that are building infrastructure for more decentralized production. And a few times I heard kind of the perspective of, they're not dogmatic about decentralization. They're just like, hey, this is actually just a market opportunity, and you could build a really big, interesting, high impactful business doing it. But it's not because it's decentral. It's not because it has this decentralization theme.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've learned in this, like, which is where I'm going to really, I've even recently shifted a lot of my conversations recently away from, most of my conversations the first year were obviously specific founders building specific solutions to kind of hitting one of these three pillars, right? Decentralized production, changing wholesale distribution, or the creator economy. And one of the things that I really realized was, for most of them, they're not looking at it through this decentralization lens or like the going direct economy lens. So this is where the repurposing and now really dialing in the communication about going direct. That's what, like, as I'm going into the second half of the year, we're going to be focused on. Because it's such a broad thing. Like, the same themes have to come up. Like, you didn't even understand fully, right? Because it's like, I'm having a conversation with someone about like building micro farms, and then biotech, and then, an author writing a book on like financialization of culture.
Yeah, I understand. So even myself, I didn't know I was doing decentralized waste treatment. I discovered it while talking with you. And
so wait, let's step back. So let's see. So give a little give a little more detail on Heliosand. You're the first returning guest. I'm gonna have the second returning guest later this week, actually.
Oh yeah, fantastic. It's an honor.
Cheers. All right, so just tell folks just the quick overview of Heliosand, because it really is And it was funny when we first met, we never talked about decentralization.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was something I could do. So basically, what I invented is a solar oven using a magnifying glass. Solar oven are made with mirrors. It's expensive. So I was thinking, what could I do with it? And I discovered by experimenting that I could recycle the worst waste ever and turn it into a construction material. So now we just had Hermes, who brought us their waste from manufacturing bags, which is the richest artisan in the world.
That's
Hermes.
cool. That's some expensive waste.
Yeah, expensive waste. And I was like, can't you do something with it? They're like, no, it's full of chemicals because they color it and they have no solution. So what I basically do is I recycle the worst waste ever using solar energy. So
you dry it out.
yeah, or I vitrify it. I mix it up with mud, depending on the waste.
Okay. So you're the garbage man.
Yeah, I'm the future garbage man that turns garbage into an asset. Okay, it's a construction material at the end. So I'll hopefully be a rich garbage man.
What material? So what material are you starting with again?
So I have to put minerals into mix together with pollution in order to vitrify it. Because if you put any waste under heat, it's going to burn. It's going to make smoke. So once you put sand or minerals on it, it cannot burn anymore. It doesn't have fuel. So the pollution in there just gets melted into lava. So the point is not to burn, not to make any smoke. And we discovered it really, it wasn't in purpose. We tried and failed and tried again. And some customer came with the special waste. And obviously it's the sales guy came with the waste. And we're like, no, you're too stupid. You don't understand tech. And the guy was right. It was so expensive. This waste was so expensive that it made sense to look for a solution to render it inert. And by trial and error and recipes, because it's an oven, so we cook. Really, I'm a cook.
You cook garbage.
I cook garbage and turn it into gold. That's exactly it. And I think our generation also has a huge opportunity to make money out of our fathers and grandfathers' waste. And so sometimes you need to innovate, but sometimes you need to go back to stuff that worked. For example, in China, food and especially protein production was decentralized. Did you know that?
No. Well, all food is decentralized, but
they had struggle with the protein production.
Okay.
So they invented the aquaponic small ponds. So every household, not decentralized in a way that you had a production for a village. It was a production for each house.
Yeah, they lived off the land for the thing. You know what's interesting was when I was to that point and on our honeymoon, my wife and I went to Bali, and we were in Indonesia. We went to like 4 or 5 different islands, and I was really impressed with how many people, because the same thing, they all have like their own literally their own rice farms, and they literally live off the land, family by family.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting that. It was very, very cool to see.
Yeah. So this culture has always been there, like you said. And in my opinion, it should also touch technology. And this is where the issue is. So you're right. AI might help us to create decentralized production means. So let's try to think about it. How does a decentralized factory, for example, making phones, how can we decentralize the making of phones? It's so complicated. And
yeah, I don't want to be overly prescriptive when you when you hear decentralization, it's like, depending on what you're talking about, it's not like you're going to have a phone factory in every town or something like that. Or you need scale, you need economies of scale. But to answer your question directly, it's all about the inputs. You need the full supply chain, which is like everyone was like, finally woke up at some point and was like 95% of the rare earth metals is like are processed in China.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like you need all that stuff domestically to make the thing you want to make.
So what you mean is that some things can be decentralized, some others probably won't.
Yeah, I think certain things won't. Oh no, for sure, certain things won't. For sure. I mean, I think I heard a great like mental model from one of the pods that I did, and it was actually Ian from Cantos Ventures. He had several things. He wrote a tweet, and I reached out to him about it because I was like, he talked about decentralization where it makes sense, and he had kind of I forgot all 5 points, but he was saying one of the points is where the cost of transport is really high relative to the value. So basically what he meant is, if you're making something and logistics is a big cost associated with what you're making. So if it's big and heavy and lower value, so let's think of like timber wood or something like that, like the idea of setting up a more decentralized production infrastructure where, you're literally delivering maybe 100 miles or 200 miles, or a couple hundred kilometers from you makes a big difference when you're shipping heavy stuff. And so my point is there's kind of that consideration. Then there's also like, what are you making? Are you making a component? Are you making a finished product?
Yeah.
I'm a full believer in vertical integration with whatever it is that you're making. I'm not saying you have to go from like, nothing to like finished product. You can actually still sell somewhere else, like somewhere in the intermediate part of the supply chain, like chemicals, for instance, but own your own distribution.
So it can be hybrid also. It can be part of it decentralized and part of it centralized.
Well, I don't really have a definition for centralized versus decentralized. I think what I would say is my definition, I don't look at it in the way that you're thinking about it. I look at it which is the idea of the system. I start with this. This is the why. Okay. The why is, I believe, a big reason why we've completely lost our sense of community and place, and we lack a lot of connection, happiness in life, is because we're disconnected from the products that we buy and the people that make them. Yeah. And we have no connection, generally speaking, in the industrialized world, to those things. The people are, especially the mass market, is blindly just buying stuff at the cheapest. No idea.
I have no idea.
And like, I'm from Detroit. I grew up in a place that was a company town. All the companies sponsored the baseball teams and the soccer teams and the football teams. Like I'm telling you, it creates this level of connection and human component when it's like, oh, my friend's dad designed this Ford, and you see the Ford on the road, or you drive the Ford, like you have these things that are really, really important.
Yeah. And you understand the world you live in, and you understand how things work.
And but dude, I go back to the same thing, which is literally why I'm doing this, which is, I believe it's like very layered, right? Like at the individual level, creating a happier life and a more meaningful life with more meaningful work and relationships when you have your production centers closer to where the product's being consumed, when you don't have layers of middlemen and opacity in between where it's made and where it's consumed. Like all these things are really, really, really important. And it's funny, because I obviously, as you know, spent a lot of time in France, and I'm like, it's fascinating to me. One of the things I love about it here is like where I get farmer's market, the butcher, the cheese shop, the bakery. Like you create real relationships with these people because you're seeing them multiple times a week. Yeah. It's their work. It's very, very special. And I tell people that all the time. And it has a huge impact and happiness in your life. Mm-hmm. People would be shocked at how happy having a perfectly crusted warm baguette is that you can eat and not feel bloated, and you can have that every day, made by the person on your street.
that wakes up at 4 to do it.
Yeah,
It's crazy, right?
crazy.
Bankers live during the night just to feed us with fresh
Fucking bread.
Yeah. It's crazy, yeah. And so I'm today I spoke with the Paris airport company, and they are renovating some places of the airport that are so old. So landing, how do you call this? Landing roads or taking off roads?
Runways. Yeah.
Very old runways. So they're taking them apart and rebuilding stuff, and they discovered huge pollution.
So they need it. So they need
So they
it
came
waste.
to me.
Oh, cool.
So they were like, so how is it going to happen? Should we ship the waste to you? So exactly what you said. Transport makes sense. I mean, it gives meaning to whether you centralize or decentralize the way you solve the problem.
Totally.
So what I told them is, I was thinking, and I told them, you can't send me your waste. It's just a one shot.
Yeah.
So what you should do is rent one of my machines.
Yes.
For
Treat it at the source.
Yeah. And I come over there, turn all your horrible stuff into construction material, and then you rebuild whatever you want on site. There's only the transportation of the machine.
Yeah.
And they were blown away. I was like, you guys haven't thought about it. And then so the Paris airport is sitting on a very difficult waste, and they couldn't tell me the amount. They couldn't tell me the specifics. They were like, you have to sign a very aggressive NDA.
Seriously?
Yeah, before we give you all the information. And they said also I have to be in contract with them. So I have to do like a first sample trial that they pay in order to implicate all the legal consequences to me. So
welcome to France, everyone.
Yeah, so let's try to dig into this, because you and I are the opposite of everything you can see in the media. I mean, I'm European, you're American. We're doing business together. This is not often that Americans invest into European businesses. I mean, I'm Muslim, you're Jewish, and we're friends having whiskey together. And then, so there's so many things about us that people don't know, and you can't see in the media, and people can't imagine that this type of relationship exists. So how come that you enjoy doing business in France while you're connecting so hard with the American business? I mean, it's not something easy, because in France we don't have that entrepreneurship spirit. I'm so happy I have you. Are you happy to have us? That's the question.
Oh man, what a great question. Well, I want to be clear that in the world of early stage technology, obviously the US is that's one of the things that the US is very, very well.
It's Mecca.
Yeah, it's a Mecca. And the reality is France is not like that. Yeah. Even close. And so I would say that you asked me the question, I'm all about people. So that's like the only reason why I was like 5 or 6 years. I was pretty much full-time as angel investing. I just get so much energy out of other entrepreneurs, people who just are willing to kind of just put everything else on the side, risk everything to go solve a problem and something that's meaningful, and also like people that I have fun with. So to answer your question, it's like, I look at everything. That's the beauty of being able to angel invest off your own balance sheet. You can just like invest in things that like, it's just because it's part of your life and relationships that you build and things that you want to see happen in the world, not because of like EBITDA margins or TAM, it's like, so I think I would say I've only made a couple investments in France for that reason, but,
so
it comes down to the relationship.
Yeah. So
and you believe in the people.
So you have more investment. I mean, in tech. Let's talk only about tech. you have more investments in the US than in France.
They only have 2 in France.
Yeah, okay. So I made it in the 2. Yeah,
And it
so
was
honored.
and it was very early on.
I'm so honored, man. So okay, that's very nice. And so it's the people that you enjoy over here. And you have your family obviously here, and you became French sort of, right? Or
a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, in many ways. I mean, I'm definitely more French than my wife, but when it comes to food and cheese and wine and others, like, listen, man, I think the reality to your point, it's like there's just good and bad everywhere.
Yeah,
It's how
exactly.
you want to look at life. And like all this stuff in the media and it's everything going on right now, it's just crazy. It's like most people are just people.
Mm.
And I think going to your point, I always said this where it's like people that I meet along the way and I become friends with, and a lot of times very different backgrounds, very different from me. But I don't think about it that way. It's because like there's something that brings us together.
Mm.
There's some common thread that brings us together, you know, and that's how that the universe brought us together.
Yeah. That's,
you know,
and true. There's some things that are above.
So
above us.
think about this.
Yeah.
Think about this for a second. So just to level set for everyone out there who's still with us. We met. I was doing an exploratory trip to Grenoble,
Yeah.
which is a city down in the southern France. And Rafik walks through in helping showing me around the town, and he starts talking about how he built this. He's going to build this CSV, concentrated solar power machine, to melt desert sand to allow the sand to be made or to be used for concrete.
Because desert sand cannot be used into concrete.
Yes. Yeah. And then I got educated very quickly in the oversupply of sand in many regions of the world. And so I was like, this guy is crazy and I love it. And I think also selfishly, we just really hit it off. And selfishly, it was also, I had just kind of started spending some more time over in France. I was like, this is also a great way to get more connected to the market, like see what startups go through in France, see how is it different and all these other things. And to be honest, what I've seen, not from Heliosand's experience, but in general, has made me shy away from doing anything more in France.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And let's talk about that because, I mean, we're here free to talk whatever, whatever we want to say. So you should feel free. And I agree with you. The French way of being an entrepreneur is very difficult. And do you know those 2 stories, the Minitel? Do you know what is the Minitel? And do you know what is the Concorde?
Tell the Minitel story.
Yeah, so the Minitel is,
I do know this story.
Okay, so for people who probably don't know in the US, so the Minitel was invented in France by the government and a university. And it was a small computer that was a premise to the internet.
Yeah.
But it was a centralized internet. So you had one server, which the government had, and everybody had a screen and a keyboard in their house. It was previous to the internet. So, but because in the way it was made, it could never break out as an innovation because it didn't have the flexibility to create stuff on top of it. So it was blocked into that stuff. So it never succeeded. And it was previous to the internet. It was before internet existed. So before even DARPA existed. So these guys were geniuses, but they couldn't make it to market. And that's the main issue of France, is we have geniuses and we can't make it to market, And the Concorde is the same. It's one of the fastest. It was the fastest
airplane.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it never made it to market. They bankrupted and stopped it was New York, Paris and New York in 1 hour and a half. You could fly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up.
And then they shut it down. So there's so many stories like this in France of successful tech, but unsuccessful business. And this sticks with us, We know how to party. We know how to drink. How to make food. But how to make a proper functioning business out of tech is a very difficult thing for our culture, and I'm still struggling to understand why.
I can't. I don't. There was this amazing thread on X. Someone asked this question. It's like, what happened to France? No, seriously, because and I'm so mad I don't have it because it was such an incredible thread and very based in history. And it was because France, it was like the 60s, 70s, was just had this entrepreneurial culture.
Yeah.
And then over time, especially with the more socialist, leftist kind of like political environment that took over, and just like the parasitic kind of nature of the government and all this other stuff, just lost all that innovation. Like, I forgot it was such a good tweet, but I mean, you have the CAC 40, which is like the 40 biggest companies in France, and some like world leaders in many different industries back in the 60s and 70s, and then it's just completely cratered.
Yeah. And also we have it, let's be honest, we have a communist way of working. The government has to intervene in everything. For example, venture capital here in France. Did you know that if you create a venture capital firm, your biggest LP is the government?
Regardless?
Yeah. If you create a venture capital, your biggest LP is the government. Can you imagine that? So first of all, there's zero skin in the game for these guys.
Right.
The government is their biggest investor, and if they fail, it's all guaranteed.
Yeah, they got their management fees.
This is not venture.
Nah.
This is and the numbers, just to go through the numbers, in 20 years, they've invested 46 billion. And
This is French venture capitalists.
French venture capital.
Okay.
And they had exits of 3 billion.
No.
So it's a 63 net loss.
What?
43 billion euros net loss. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine pretending to be a venture, a capital firm, and when you look at the numbers, you're at a huge loss?
Well, this is like such a
sorry to give you this information.
I want to fact check that. I want to fact check that.
Let's fact check it.
But I don't. It opens up like a whole big conversation. Sorry, and I think that, to your point, one of the challenges I've had here, which is this, like, if you're gonna be communist, or you're gonna be like, if you're gonna govern with the iron fist, just like be straight about it. Like, that's what it is, right? But like here, it's like they try to act like it's this like free market, maximum freedom.
Yeah, but it's
like BS. Yeah. It's like total, and part of it is just how like this gray area of how like the legal system and how contracts work, and then how onerous, basically the enterprise takes on all of the social charges, and it's just not a very friendly place for small businesses to give the flexibility to hire people. And there's so many rules and regulations, it just like makes it really difficult. But to your point,
and it's impossible to fire someone.
No.
If you try to fire someone, you're in deep shit.
Rand,
so you're like this when I'm recruiting someone, I'm like this.
Exactly. Totally.
Trembling.
Yeah. So just to give people that aren't familiar, these are like good, and correct me if I'm wrong, good high level stats.
Yeah.
So basically, if you hire someone and you pay them 100,000 euros a year, you're essentially paying them 180,000 or 200,000 euros. You're almost doubling.
Yeah, you double what you pay to the government.
Yeah. So whatever your salary is, you almost double it, and that goes into it goes to the government, but that goes into the much more generous social system that you have here for all citizens. But then you have the other things, which is interesting to me, which is I wanted to ask you about, and maybe it's just been this way since your whole life, but then there's the culture around work.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've seen, which is what's going to be very interesting, is now we're having this disruption of kind of this white collar project manager pushing papers type role. That's all going to get right-sized, but just this almost like aversion to work's not the right word, but it's like, it just, people don't seem, they're just like, no matter what I do, this is going to be my path. So there's not much hope to really push.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if you found, is that kind of, obviously when you're in the startup ecosystem, you find very specific type of people, similar mindsets as yourself, but I'm generalizing where, yeah, I just, and I get it too. I respect it. Like there's just like, there's a lot of vacation time that's always about work-life balance and yeah, not like sacrificing other things in your life for your work.
So you're being nice there, but I hate it. I hate it because
Which part?
I mean, every month there's a new vacation here. Every month. So when you start working, you're in the flow.
You're
working. It's
totally.
holidays, and then nobody answers the phone, nobody answers the emails, and you get automatic emails. I'm on vacation, and then you start working again, and then a month later,
Totally.
there's it's Easter now. It's going to be Easter vacation, and nobody fucking works. So the flags, Jordan, it's.
I was being nice.
And this is for the year organization, but you have the day, or people optimize. So I have to take a coffee break at 10. I arrived at the office at 9:30. I speak a little bit, and then the whole day is gone. And sometimes people engineer how they can work the smallest amount, and also you have the vacation planning. Here you have bridges. You remember I sent
The
you
phone, the best. I still have it. I follow the guy. It's great.
Bridges. So here you have a lot of 1 day holiday vacation, which is crazy. And it in the month of May has the most of them. You have the 8th of May, the 1st of May.
The 15th, no?
Yeah, I have no idea, man. There's so many of them.
22nd.
And then when you look at the calendar, people engineer.
Yeah, the bridge, the pont. That's what they call the pont.
So they optimize how they can stop working the most of it. I mean, if I take that day off, then they wouldn't let me come back for just 1 day.
Yeah.
So it's a bridge. So they engineer the way how not to work. And I was like this when I was younger. When I was in university, I was a leftist, blah, 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 and I thought work is bad. And now that I'm an entrepreneur, I realize how this is so far away from reality. And you know how you get to this mindset. You get to this mindset if you're comfortable, if you don't have to worry about because here the government helps so much. When you're a student, you have money from the government. You can get food for a cheaper price than a regular person. You have this for free. So they give you a computer. They blah blah. And when you get comfortable, you don't push yourself to do new stuff. Like your kids. If you have kids and they don't struggle, don't let your kids be too comfortable.
Totally, man.
If you let them too comfortable, then they won't struggle. And statistically, you can fact check this as well. Let's compare how much the government spend on social stuff or on itself compared to different nations. So in America, it's like 30%.
Of what, of GDP?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Wait,
on what? On what?
The on the government
spending, budget, government spending
is 30%, and then in
is that right?
USSR.
Okay.
In the USSR was 46,
mm-hmm.
And in France, how much is it today? 58.
58. I knew it was high.
I mean, it's more than.
Well, listen, I don't, bro. Listen, I don't follow the the French economy stuff much, like that close, but it's pretty obvious that there's a big problem.
Yeah,
it's a debt problem, isn't it? I mean, it's the same in the U.S. Like, there's just structural problems. Like, we've just been printing money, and this is the problem. The problem is, back to your point, about people not even wanting to work. The problem is the more stuff that you give people, more that they want.
That's it.
And like, it's the funniest thing for me here because by the way, we're in Paris, France now. That's why I say here, like, yeah, I see what people complain about here, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they have no idea,
dude. Like, we have conversations when we're here, like, oh, the baker wasn't open on the bakery on our street, so we had to go to the other one, and it just doesn't have the same, flavor.
It's not the same bread.
Yeah, it's not the same bread.
It doesn't bake it the same.
Totally. And but that's what I love. That's what I love about the French. You guys are so funny. You're like, I tell people now that I spent enough time here, it's like, now I know why the French are how the French are. Like, I always tell people, I use the term like, your shit's hot. Yeah. It's really good. It's really good. Like, the quality is incredible. Yeah. Like, most Americans that have been to France are like, okay, come to Paris. And they see the Eiffel Tower, and they do the thing, and the Paris is an amazing city. And by the way, it's a big thing to travel internationally, so I'm not like making light of that. But like, France is just like, you have 2 oceans, or 1 sea, 1 ocean. You have like 3 mountain ranges, the best skiing in the world. You have gorges everywhere. Every region you go has its own micro culture of wine and other alcohols and food, and then the cheese. And you're just like, man. And then you have this like social system where the government just like has set it up so people can enjoy their lives. Yeah. Like, no one can build private property on beachfront. The beachfront belongs to the public. And like, we were in, have you been to Avoriaz?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. So Avoriaz do you know the story
of Avoriaz?
Of how it was built?
I'm happy that you're teaching me something from my own culture. Go ahead.
All right. So we were there for the first time this year with our 2 little ones to go skiing there. And so Avoriaz is about 4.5 hours, 5 hours in the train from Paris in the French Alps. It's not too far from the Mont Blanc, Switzerland. Yeah. It's right on the border, actually, in Mont Blanc. But it's anyway. So Avoriaz is a ski resort mountain town, and in the ski area is called the Porte du Soleil, which means the door of the sun. Yeah, because the whole side of the mountain gets sun basically all day, and it's right on the border of Switzerland. And the Porte du Soleil connects like 12 different skiing domains.
It's one of the largest skiing domains in the world. Yeah,
correct. And so, anyways, the story of Avoriaz is I forgot the name, but it was a Olympic French skier in the 70s, I believe, 60s or 70s. Connected with the owner or the founder of Pierre Vacances. So Pierre Vacances is like almost like a Club Med style, like vacation in France.
Vacation company,
made for family oriented. And so the guy, the skier, was like, I have a vision of creating a ski resort basically up the mountain of an area called the Morzine. And so it's just like north of that. And so it's this like ledge. And so they built this like purpose-built resort. And they had a very specific way of doing all the architecture. So they're all these like really small efficiency apartments, right? Like ski in, ski out, made for families. But they're all kind of in the shape of the mountain and the trees. Like, they all kind of blend into the nature. The nature. And so, anyways, but basically part of what they said is like, we're going to create this. It was a big initiative for the French government at that time to build up the different the ski mountains, because it was for the economy at that time for the mountain towns. And so part of what they also did is they made it walkable, which and so it's like the coolest thing ever. It's like amazing for kids because the skiing is way less. It's not very technical. It's easy skiing. And it's just incredible for the kids. And literally you get around town riding on horses and buggies. Yeah. It's like the coolest thing ever. for kids, and I'm like, oh man. But anyways, that's a what so that's the story behind it.
Yeah, so it became huge businesses in the 70s and 80s. It exploded, and now there's less and less snow, so it's pretty difficult to enjoy a long time vacation. But this is part of the culture. So now you have to go skiing, and I'm sure in the US it's not like this. You don't go skiing every year.
No, it depends where you live. It depends where you live, and obviously, like skiing is something you have to have money, and especially in the U.S.,
It's very
expensive
in the
sport.
US,
Yeah.
And where I go skiing is in Chamonix, so it's in the Mont Blanc. So we were close this winter because I took the kids skiing as well. So,
Chamonix is my.
yeah.
It's my. It's a weird one, man. I could, in this weird way, I don't know why, but I could. The first time I was there, I was like, I could just live here, and I'm not like you, where I love the mountains and I love being in the mountains, and I'm an active person, but I'm not going to go like. I'm not going rock climbing every weekend or, ice climbing. Like I'll go on hikes and bike and enjoy.
It's the atmosphere.
Totally.
It's the people over there. So everybody's handsome, rich, nice, polite, has culture, and there is an atmosphere.
There's a vibe
there,
for sure.
Yeah. And everybody also is do sport.
Yes,
everybody's healthy. And it's just like it's really a strange place, and you feel comfortable when you're there. I love it as well. So I was there, and I realized
you go there often, no? I mean, it's not too close not too far from
my best friend is a mountain guide over there.
That's why. Okay.
So we often go there, and I taught the kid how to ski this year. It was
not first time.
Yeah, first time, both of them.
How old?
So
Again,
6 years old.
Yeah.
My girl, and 4 years old, the little boy. So they had their own instructor,
okay,
which is a friend of mine.
Cool.
Faustine, and now they're asking every day, when are we going to see Faustine again?
That's awesome.
So we don't realize how luxurious our life is in France.
But it's like this weird one. It's like, yes, it is. It's this crazy, like luxurious, but then at the same time, I'm generalizing, of course, but if I were to compare, but then the French in general are very luxurious is not the right word. It's like actually like French are very like thrifty. They're very mindful of the environment. They're very not into like spending money on stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah. So
it's a very down to.
It's a different perspective. I was talking from my Arab but when I come here to France, it's luxury. When I came here when I was little,
I'm sure
Ravi is 13 years old.
Where did you grow up again?
So I grew up in Algeria, North Africa.
Right. Okay.
And we left because all the terrorists wanted to kill my parents because we drink and eat pork and we don't care. And so we had to leave urgently. And we came here, and as a little boy, I thought it was so luxurious. I dreamed my whole life, by the way, to come to France when I was little.
That's awesome.
My parents were like, no, we're going back to Algeria. And I was so happy the war was going on, so we could stay. But it's the point of view. For example, hot showers didn't exist 100 years ago. So most your heroes, most books you read, most intellectuals, inventors, everybody you admire from over 100 years ago, they never had that feeling of in the morning.
Well, it's ironic that in the morning now I take cold shower. I end with cold showers at the end.
Yeah, me too. I have a cold plunge as well, but the cold plunge in the winter is so hard.
Yeah, but
break the ice.
No, you have to listen. This is the thing with, in my opinion, it's like it's on the list for me. I'll get one sooner than later, but it's on the list. It's like just you have no choice. If you get one, for me, if I get one, it's like I'm in that thing every day.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't matter. Like you just got to do it.
Yeah, it wakes you up, and
no,
so,
it makes me feel amazing.
Yeah, because if you can do that, you can do anything else. And
no, it just like resets my whole thing.
So we should plan. So we're talking about the mountains, etc. But I should take you to Geneva. Geneva has a special place which is called Le Bain des Paquis.
Okay.
So it's the Pakistani bath.
Okay.
So it's a place on the lake,
okay,
Geneva,
okay,
where you have a sauna, a hammam,
sure,
everything, and then you go into the cold
Yeah, I
lake.
love it. I love it.
And then you do cold plunge,
Back and
hot,
forth. Yeah,
back and
of
forth,
course.
and you feel so amazing. And then I go and do some Bitcoin trades, and then I come back home because I live, where I live is 2 hours from Geneva. So just take the train, do the cold plunges, have lunch, blah blah, and then do some trades and take the
Come back.
train back home. And this is the way I saved the company many times.
Why did you have to go there to do Bitcoin trades?
To work out the tax
Oh, really?
issues. Yeah.
Why
because-
you just don't pay tax here and like?
Yeah, so it's different if you do it with a company that lends the money to your company.
You do what with the company?
So there's a Swiss company
Okay.
that lends the money to you, and you lend that money to the Swiss company. Therefore, once everybody's paid back, you don't have to pay taxes.
I don't get it.
And
I don't get it. So you have Bitcoin. You sell Bitcoin for
I
$100.
don't sell Bitcoin. No, I have to pay taxes if I do that. I lend
your Bitcoin.
to a Swiss company, Swiss bank,
Okay.
and then this Swiss bank lends the money to my company. And then with this,
How do you get paid back?
oh, I don't get paid back. I mean, the company.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're lending it
if
in.
I sell my Bitcoin,
I understand.
and then put it into the company, I have to pay the flat tax.
I understand.
I
So
can't just put money into the company.
So it's just the equivalent of it's like what it is the equivalent of spending. It's just like an equivalent of having expenses, and so it's not taxable. So
exactly,
okay,
it's not taxable.
But you're not getting. Okay, I got it.
And this is the way I saved the company many times, and also I know Geneva very well because some of my wife's family is over there, and when I was in the crypto world, this is where I bloomed, because in France.
Did you like Geneva?
Yeah, I love it. If I could, I would live in Switzerland. It's the best place to live. It's Switzerland.
It's a little like Truman Show-y for me. No,
Yeah.
You ever see that movie?
Yeah, depends where you go and depends who you talk to. But it's true. It looks like a Truman Show.
I have a question for you?
Yeah, I have other questions to me too. So okay, you start.
You do this often, which is like pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
So I just like said Truman Show. It's like it's funny when I speak to you, I feel like I'm speaking culturally in a way to another American, which is interesting. I feel like rarely I mention something cultural like that, whether it's music, movie, whatever, and you don't know what it is. So that's like interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
Were your parents really into American
No.
like culture as it related to like entertainment?
My parents were into the British culture.
Okay.
My mom's best friend lives in London.
Okay.
I used to go to London, so I did the Anglo-Saxon, which is close to America as well. Yeah, but we were not into one system. We were international. Since I was born, we had people from all over the world coming and having dinners with my parents, and so we spoke several languages at home. So I had that open-minded.
Sure.
But let's go back to Switzerland because I want to know your opinion on that. I mean, if what do you think of that? People think it's Elon Musk, the richest guy in the world. So Putin is way more richer than Elon Musk, first of all. So who is the richest person in the world, in your opinion?
I think when people talk about that, the problem is they equate rich with money.
Yeah.
And once you get to a certain amount of money, like the way I would say that when I would say rich, just how people, it's actually power.
Oh,
Does that make sense to you?
yeah.
So if you were to ask me who's the richest person in the world, it's who has the power, because at some point, once, like I said, once you have a certain level of financial resources, I don't think it actually
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it like you kind of like level out, right? And so I don't know. I think it's people that are part of things that we don't even know about.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think it's not in this way where it's like some sort of like not even conspiracy theory or whatever, but it's like, maybe someone involved with like the Catholic Church.
I think so. So
Like, I don't know.
I agree with you. I agree with you that the puppets are not the one in power. There's always somebody who's manipulating the puppets to politics and etc.
Totally.
Yeah, and they're very
Well, that's why Donald Trump's such an enigma to people.
Yeah.
Not to get political, but that is the reality. That's why he's an enigma, because people are like, who controls you?
Yeah.
And he's just kind of this off the cuff like guy. And so you're just like, okay, well, like, that's why people are intrigued, because they're like, hey, like, nothing of this stuff was working for a long time for me. And like, there's some structural things that are broken. And like, this guy's just fucking, it's a comedy show with that guy. Not comedy. I don't want to make jokes.
He's funny.
He's funny.
He's funny. Yeah, he's very funny.
I heard this great line where it's like, bro, think about this. Think about if you were not
be a comedian.
That's what I'm saying. Dude, Rafik, think about this. Think about if you were not, like, you'd never been to Earth before. You're like an alien. And I said, and then you came down to Earth for the first time, and you came over, and I sat you down on the TV, and I put a Donald Trump speech on. Donald Trump at his finest, and I was like, that's our president. He'd be like, it's not true. It's a joke. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah, this comes up to the simulation theory. Do you have thoughts about simulation? Are we living in a simulation theory?
Yeah, so I would love to go back to this, but first let's tackle the Switzerland thing.
Sure.
Back to
this, you're really onto the Switzerland thing.
Very interesting data about that. So the richest person in the world is Ben Salman, the king of Saudi Arabia. He's got the biggest bank account ever. Okay, so the difference between 1 million and 1 billion and 1 trillion. So 1 million seconds is 1 million seconds is 11 minutes. 11 hours. Okay.
I'm fact checking him on this.
Yeah, go ahead. 1 million.
Okay.
1 million seconds is 11 hours. 1 billion seconds is 1 billion seconds is 36 years or 30 something years. So can you imagine 11 hours and 36 years? And 1 trillion is something like 3,000 years. Okay. So the difference between 1 million, 1 billion and 1 trillion is huge. So 11 million seconds is 11 hours.
11 million. How many hours is 11 million seconds?
1 million seconds
yeah.
is 11 hours.
How many hours is 1 million seconds and 1 billion seconds? That's what we're going at. Yeah. All right, let's see what comes.
Yeah, we're doing like just the Joe Rogan podcast. We need somebody to fact check everything. So tell us.
1 million seconds is 277 hours. That's 11 days.
11 days. 11 days. Sorry. Okay. 11 days, and then 1 billion
seconds is
31 years. Yeah. So 11 days, 31 years. So this is the difference between 1 million and 1 billion. And 1 trillion is even.
You didn't even know, yeah.
It's 3,000 something. It's 3,000 years. So the difference between a billionaire and Ben Salman, the Saudi prince, is that much. That's the difference. It's huge.
31,000 years.
Yeah. Can you imagine? So that's
1 million seconds is 12 days. 1 billion seconds, 32 years. 1 trillion seconds, 31,000 years.
So can you see the huge gap? And so several things here you have to notice. So if you put the revenue of the Aramco, which is the largest oil company.
They're public, right?
Yeah, they're public. Yes, they're public. You can buy shares. So you have their revenue, and you compare it to the revenue cumulative of Apple, Microsoft, whatever. You're gonna get like 3/4 or less is the amount of revenue from large American companies compared to the revenue of the Aramco company.
Reported revenue?
Yeah, reported revenue.
All right, let's see.
So yeah, go ahead. I'm happy that you fact check it.
Of course.
It wasn't 11 hours. It
No,
was
I'm
11
learning.
days, and thanks for
450 billion per year.
yeah. So if you put all the revenues of large American companies, they're not even 3/4 of that.
No.
Annual.
No, Google's like that. No,
No.
it's like 300 billion a year. No,
No.
250 billion a year.
So check the revenue of Google the yearly revenue of Google, or Apple. Let's see the difference.
All right, let's see. 400 billion
400 billion.
in 2025. 350 billion in 2024.
Okay.
So they're catching up.
So no. So it means it's the equivalent.
Yep.
So, I thought it was way less.
That's why I fact checked it.
So it's revenue. It's
Correct.
revenue. Yeah.
But going back to the question of who's the richest person in the world, it's not
So
like who cares about that number? That number at some point doesn't matter.
Do you know why?
You know what matters? You know what matters?
It-
The entire economy stops if that guy shuts off his.
But you know why it matters? Because where do those people's stock put their money? Where's the money? Do you think his bank account is in Saudi Arabia?
Switzerland, baby.
Yeah.
All right,
Switzerland.
so good. Yeah, we're back to
So
Switzerland.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he won't let
that's
Switzerland. You won't stop with Switzerland. What's
So-
get to the punchline? What's the
So
question?
Switzerland gets all the rich people put their bank account over there. So the country hasn't been in war for 500 years, and everybody's happy. Everybody lives well because they are the bankers of the world. And then
Yeah, but is that a place you want to live?
and
This doesn't seem that interesting of a place to live.
so if you go there, people are so easygoing.
Mm.
They're so nice, and the kids, they have the best education in the
And they
world.
all speak like 5 languages. And
They go to ski resorts
yeah.
in the winter. They do this and that. It's the best education and the best manufacturing. They have a decentralized manufacturing for watches, for example. You have the largest watch brand in the world, Rolex,
Mhm.
and they have other many small companies that make watches. So
The whole ecosystem.
yeah. So if we live in a simulation, Switzerland is the bank of the world. And did you see this ayahuasca stuff? A guy that puts a laser onto a wall, and he gives people ayahuasca, and then they look at the laser, and they see through the wall, and they see a code like in the Matrix.
Okay.
And this have been repeated by many other people, and in the opinion of that guy, it proves that we live in a simulation. And you have to check this, and many scientists are questioning whether they should do a real scientific experiment to measure what's happening in the brain or what's going on, to try to understand that, because the issue is that it's repeatable. If other people do it on the other side of the planet with somebody else, everybody gets the same result. They look at the laser, so you have to put the laser through a wall, and you look at the laser and you can see through the wall, and you see a code, which is amazing. And everybody describing that code gets something similar, whether they're Japanese, Indian, South African, whatever. And
What is it?
This could be a proof that we live in a simulation.
Where did that come from? I totally am lost.
And it's a guy that invented that
But
experiment.
how is that related to the simulation theory specifically?
Because if you have a repeatable code that you can see,
Okay.
it means that probably that code runs
Through.
runs the world.
Okay.
So that's the question. And when you look at any ancient text, whether Buddhists, Jewish text, Muslim text, even Christians, they tell you that God is a coder, that um, God has registers of what you do. Everything is registered. That also there's the physics of the world. It's all tuned. There's a code that drives the physics, and so the thing is, if you're in a simulation, how do you know if that simulation is not a simulation of another simulation? That's the real question. Can you go deeper into simulations?
I don't know the answer to that.
What do you think? Do you think we live in a simulation? I have no idea.
I kind of feel like we do.
Yeah.
I think like
And what's the point of this simulation? Is it a video
I think
game?
I think it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say video game for me. I think it's this. I think it's more of just the whole idea of kind of the system kind of swinging from one pendulum to the other pendulum, which is just like being again like biological beings, right? Where it's like when something gets out of whack, it like kind of self-corrects.
Mhm.
And so because we are biological beings and
You mean
we're
balance. There's
balance,
balance
yeah,
and-
it's nature. It's nature. So I think at the end of the day, nature decides ultimately. And so it feels that like like for me, nature just has the plan in a way.
Mm. Yeah.
Does that make sense or no?
Yeah.
I've never talked actually about that
Yeah, but
specifically.
you know, I'm very spiritual, so I understand that, and also what I agree with you, because most of the time when something happened in the company, when you have an industrial startup like I'm trying to build,
Mhm.
you're always walking on the edge,
Totally.
and the company could die anytime. I mean, even today I had a horrible news, and the company could die anytime. But what I realized is, the more I get scared, the closer to the edge I get. The more I trust nature or God, the more I
The
trust
process, yeah.
the more I trust that this is just something that I have to go through,
Yeah, for sure.
the more the solution shows itself.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think I had this experience in Detroit, which was when you think back on it, going back to your point of starting something and going and I really think it's when you have a true mission, it's not because it's true entrepreneurship. It's true creation. When you go on that and you hear of like obviously Joseph Campbell's like, you know, the hero's journey and the whole thing, man with 1,000 faces. But like we're all on our own journey as our own hero in our own story. Right. But I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, you were talking about how you would live in a simulation, how struggling in a company and trusting the process.
Yes. Sorry. Trusting the process. And so I think when you're doing something for a deeper meaning,
Yeah.
and then you got to put it all out on the line. And yes, some things work out, some things don't. But ultimately, it's kind of what they say is like the world will give you what you need. If you just put positive energy out there and like you can go do whatever it is that you want. You can go find whoever it is that you want. You started this conversation, asked me about podcasts. I literally started beyond my own kind of some close network. When I started learning about more and more of this stuff, I was just like reach out to people.
Yeah.
And like people are generally cool.
Yeah.
They'll talk, right? Some people are busy. It's okay. It's cool. I'll check back in 3 months. And it's like anyone that you check in with regularly because you have a genuine interest in connecting with them, they'll give you time.
Yeah.
Because we don't
We
don't spend enough time hanging with people and meeting new people that like for some reason like you have a similar interest or something. You're kindred spirits.
Steve Jobs said that. He said, "I'm when I needed help, I just took the phone,
Yeah.
and called." he like called the director of HP when he was little.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Do
An
you have,
internship or
do
something.
you have a spare parts? Do you have spare parts to make a analogical convertible? Because you have to go from analog to digital in the old days. Now everything is digital, but he was wanting to build a digital analog converter. So he called the boss of HP. Do you have spare parts, please? And the guy was amazed that a kid, he said, okay, come on. He gave him spare parts
Totally.
and a job for summer, and he was making computers.
Yeah, sure.
And then he created Apple. But he said generally people, if you ask for help and pick up the phone, and people generally would help and give you
Of
time.
course. If you're being sincere about something,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
it's true.
What?
And so reaching out to people is easy, but uh, it's not easy to maintain the same focus when you have struggle. So it goes back to our conversation previously. Why do we have struggles? Why do we have problems? Is to make you survive. And this is also the rule of the video game. Because I think life is a video game, but you have just one life. And the purpose is to go through struggle and still be good. Because when you struggle, when you have problems, it's easy to turn to drinking, whatever, or doing or stealing. You're in trouble, you don't have money, so you go steal, or you get angry, and I think the point of the whole game, the whole simulation, is to test your soul. Can you go through struggle and still be a good person? Can you? And it's very hard. It's very hard to keep your ethics when you're in deep shit. It's very hard.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point, which is ethics. And also, I think I would use, I don't even necessarily the word ethics, but compromise. I think that's like a lot of times. So when you're under stress, this kind of always what people say. So when people talk about money in life, right, just in general, and like to me, I've always said it's like it's just freedom.
Yeah.
Like other than your once you get past basic necessities, it's just freedom, and it is freedom. What it does is it's freedom of thought, which allows you to generally think longer term. Right. That's like to me. And so
you could pick up your head and see.
Yeah, because you're not
further.
you're not worried about how you're paying the rent
Yeah,
next
true.
month or your bills or whatever it is. And so why we were getting on the short term, now I'm fading short term, long term thinking.
Yeah, because the simulation, and I had my opinion on what's the rules of the simulation. And my opinion is, can you keep your ethics? And you were
Sorry.
talking about
Yes,
not ethics, but compromise.
Compromise. And
So
when
if
you're
you
under
have
stress,
money,
in the reality of it is, like the reality of his money today is our equivalent of survival, because we're not living in like places where our life is threatened on a daily basis, right? Like, so like money is just survival, and that's survival. Personal life is survival of your company or whatever it is. And so when your back is up against the wall, it's easy to compromise. Or if you set your incentive structure up in a way where the incentive structure compromises the mission or whatever it is, like you have a structural problem. And actually, I have this thing, which is kind of an aspect of this going direct thing, that I truly believe, when people talk about, meaning in their work, and especially people that are starting things or founding things, even if you're going after like to really solve a specific problem in society, that like if you set up the wrong incentive structure for the organization, like where the outcomes or the way you get your outcomes are not aligned with the values or the mission of what you're like ultimately setting out to do, like that's what creates this like the emptiness. And so I think ultimately what everyone wants is like the ability to like work at a place or have a career where their incentive structure and outcomes are aligned with like something that's meaningful to them. And I think that's actually what everyone's actually looking for.
Yeah.
Like deep down.
To be aligned.
Yeah, just have like a deep alignment with an alignment with what you're doing.
Yeah. So the incentive in France for work is most of the time power. So it's either so people have two incentives. Vacation, so they mistake vacation for freedom, and the other incentive is power, meaning are you a manager or are you not? So in the US, when I worked with American people, they all have the possibility that one day they might be a manager. In France, you have this thing where if you're a manager, no one is going to take your seat because you can't go further up. So you're guarding your seat. So the incentive is power over others and vacation. It's truly the culture.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So, and
You guys got a specific way of doing things here.
yeah.
For sure. It's true. Like it's a very specific way, and obviously as like I respect it. Listen, I having my kids, raising my kids here it's been such a pleasure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's the thing that for me brings me the most fulfillment, and like where I can like overlook other things that are not maybe optimal or the same in America, but just it has been a incredible place thus far, between like how the system works for schools, for the creche, which is the daycare,
and all what the kids can do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of activities and stuff.
You guys, the French, listen, the Americans are like obsessed with like the American moms my age were all obsessed with the book Bringing Up Bébé. Have you heard of this book?
No.
So it's I think she's French woman that lived in America or whatever, and she wrote this book around the French way of parenting and being a mom.
An American
French. She's French, but she was living in. She was living, and she was intrigued by the whole differences, and it was just like this huge New York Times bestseller. So like all my friends, any of my friends' wives, or any of my friends when I was younger that are women have read this book. And do the French, especially with my value set or whatever, but the French have a good thing down with like values, how they raise children, very against screens.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I'm gonna get your perspective on this after I'm done with my rants, but I've come to the realization, and now as a father, that like there's just like the kids are gonna be who they're gonna be.
Yeah.
You can just guide them. Our job's not, when they're going down the canoe on the river and they're about to hit the road, you just kind of veer them back to the side. That's all we can do. But there's a couple things you can do that will stay with them for the rest of their lives, which is keep them connected to nature, keep them off screens, and teach them nutrition. You give those three things, and then you're giving a kid a foundation. And one could argue there's no better place to do all the combination of all those in France. Man.
So let's argue that you see how much you enjoy the system. Go to Switzerland, Jordan. It's 100 times. This is what you like in Switzerland. It's 100 times.
I'm gonna be clear. It's too much for me. It's already too much for me. It's too much for me here. It's already too much.
It's a level you're happy.
It's already too much. It's like, but I'm someone who I love. I mean, I guess what you call whatever I do work, but I love what I do, and like I just get just completely engulfed in it.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who sacrifices other things in my life for the time that I spend on work related stuff. So that's just how I'm wired. So being in a place that people don't like, it's not as part of the culture of sacrificing things as much for your work.
Yeah. So it's even strange. People think it's strange. Well,
it's strange.
Working in the weekends. why do you work in weekends?
Dude, it's
I'm
weird.
like, I have to because I have to.
But like my thing is like when I like wake up and I'm generally doing stuff, sometimes when I'm doing too much or whatever, it's like becomes like it's too much. But like I'm like excited to like have my coffee and start jamming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like in.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. It could be music, it could be whatever. You wake up in the morning, it's what you love to do, and then
Yeah, you're
it's-
just doing it. You know.
me too. If anytime I have doubts, if anytime I'm in struggle, I just put the working suit on,
Yeah, you're
and I go into the workshop, and I start jamming. That's just like you said. I start doing something, and then I get into the flow. Then the time disappears, and problems disappear, and yeah.
if you weren't doing what you're doing right now, building Heliosand, and you were going to do something completely different, not start a company or whatever in inventing a industrial machine or something, what would you do?
I would
Completely different
I
profession.
would be an artist or doing music. I love music. I've been playing music since I was little.
What do you play?
I play 5 instruments.
Really?
Yeah. My brother is a very great artist as
Okay.
well. He's very good with music. We played music in my family for a long time, and I love contemporary art, especially especially fake art, pretending to be art and selling it at an expensive
Like a
price.
piece of like sand on the paper.
Yeah, that's it. So if I wasn't an engineer or an entrepreneur, I would have been an artist. And I think I'm
You are an artist.
yeah, but I think I'm thank you, Jordan, for seeing me as an artist. But I think I went into engineering and science because this is what my mom did. She sacrificed her motherhood with me to go into science. And my mom is the first African lady to have a PhD in genetics. So she sacrificed
Where? In France.
Algeria.
In Algeria.
Algeria, yeah, she had a PhD in Algeria.
Okay.
But it was with the French lab and an Algerian lab. It was a collaboration. So she sacrificed the motherhood with me to get into science. And I think in my unconscious, I mean, I've been working through this in therapy. I want to be an inventor.
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
To get back the love I never had from my mom.
Interesting. That's where it comes from.
It took me 10 years to realize that. So if
Do you talk openly with your mom about it?
Yeah, no, my mom don't understand this kind of stuff. I have an Arab mom. She's like, shut up, shut up and work, shut up. Don't complain. Your life is too easy. She's right.
Yeah, for sure. You have to respect that.
Yeah, can't complain to my mom. But anyway, since I'm a French guy now, I go to therapy and try to understand. I try to understand why I do that. But if I wasn't trying to get back that childhood missing, I would have been right into art, doing music and art all day, and in a way, being a scientist and a tech guy is way too hard for me. Is so harder because music and art is easy to me. I'm very good at it. I think I would have made a great career because I'm a good bullshitter, and it would have been nice, but there wasn't much of a challenge. Science is I'm struggling.
Yeah,
Sure. My engineers, my friends are so much smarter than me.
Sure.
They're way far, and I know how to talk to them. My specialty is I know how to talk to nerds, autistic nerds, that hate people and can't have the interaction, social interaction. I know how to talk to them. I know how to give them purpose. I know how to motivate them. So it sort of took a place where the challenge is great and the execution is great. So I forgot about art.
Art.
Yeah, really let it aside. And actually, most of my engineers are very good musicians.
Oh,
They all play music because you can't be creative if you don't have that little
sure.
artistic stuff. We never got a chance to play music. And
Really?
also,
Why?
and because we don't have time. And
Yeah, I mean, you can take the guitar out for 5 minutes and play a guitar.
we're so busy, you can't imagine how crazy it is. Because once we meet, we have to work on a machine.
Yeah.
Because we're not at the same place.
Yeah.
The workshop is in my house, and then the engineers are everywhere in France.
Yeah, so you're meeting up once in a while, yeah.
And we're looking at startups where founders play to video games, and here in Paris, you have so many startups that raise 30 million and then they play video games. We bought a Nintendo console to try to play, and it has been sitting in the box for 4 years now.
The original?
Yeah,
The original
we
Nintendo.
couldn't-
Respect that.
we
What
couldn't-
games?
We bought 3 Zelda, Street Fighters, and not Street Fighter, Zelda, Mario Kart.
Okay.
But we never got a chance to even open the box.
Ha ha ha.
So, creating a hardware startup in heavy industry is something very difficult. And particularly, I mean, if you wanted to create the hardest startup ever, you have to put it between waste, construction, and energy, because it's also 3 mafia,
Sure.
and energy, waste, and construction.
They're dealing with it all.
Yeah, so it's very hard. It's very time consuming. So I get a thrill, just like you.
Yeah.
The struggle gives me a thrill, and I enjoy it.
That's all that matters. What? So this is one of my favorite stories with you. I don't know if I remember me telling you about
Which
this.
story?
So this was, I mean, it was pretty crazy, and no one believes me. So I've only spoken to a few people about it, but so I remember this was like 4 years ago, probably 5 years ago. I came down to visit you in Saint Marcelin
Yeah.
to see one of the early versions of the machine at Heliosand. And I remember because at the time it was like in your yard, and the team was working on it in your yard, and you were explaining to me how the French government is like watching you guys.
Yeah.
And
I remember
and like
this.
and you're like and they're like they're monitoring our calls and all this stuff. And I'm like, this guy, what is Rafik talking about? So I get off. So Saint Marcelin is like, I don't know, like a 2.5 hour, 2.5 hour train ride from Paris or something like that, whatever. And so I go there for a couple-day trip, and I'm getting off the train back in Paris. And by the way, I had not taken that many trains in Paris before, but now I've taken the train a lot.
Yeah.
And this has never ever happened to me again, and never seen anything happen like this before ever again. So I walk off the train, and there's 2 guys come up to me, like kind of dressed in street clothes, and like ask me for my ID and my passport.
Like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. And so it was so crazy.
Yeah, French CIA. It's called DGSE.
Okay.
DGSE. It's French CIA.
Okay. And I did call you. I remember calling you and telling you this. But like, is that real?
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
Like, who were those guys?
Because at the beginning, when we filed our patent,
yes,
you have to go through military acceptance. The military has to know if what you're doing has to go into the defense domain or has to go into the civil domain. And since we're dealing with powders and very high temperatures, it has a defense application or defense questions. So they were monitoring, and I'm also an Arab, and I think you're an American tourist.
Yeah.
So they were like,
what's going on?
What the fuck is going on? And we were just trying to do business to clean the planet.
Yeah, man. Listen, just use solar power for good use.
But these guys have to be cautious and have to,
So who was it? Who was it though? Who's
DGSE?
What-
They monitored, and at a certain point.
But is it part of what part of the government is it?
it's Defense Department.
Defense Department. Okay.
Defense Department, and so you have in the Defense Department you have the police
Mhm.
side, you have the army, and the DGSE sits right
Okay.
in the middle.
Okay.
So they work.
So it's
for
intelligence.
intelligence,
Okay.
CIA.
Okay.
So they monitor
Mm.
monitor people and try to find what they're doing.
It's so random. Like
Yeah.
like that never happened. And so it's funny. So I totally remember this. I arrive home and I tell Chloe, my wife, and I'm
She
like,
never saw that.
no, and she and I think at the time her parents might have been over at the house. I think, I don't know. And I was telling her, I was like, listen, I just came back from the trip. Rafik told me like the government was watching them, or like because they have like high heats and powders and stuff. And I was like, whatever. And I'm like the secret, like some Secret Service guy, like just like took me aside and like took my ID.
Yeah.
And I was like,
They checked your bag as well.
yeah,
You remember they checked
in the
told me
bag.
they checked what you have in your bag.
But it wasn't like it wasn't like aggressive.
Yeah, they were just checking.
Yeah, they were just checking, and you're just like,
We were not suspects. They were just checking if we're
guess.
for
I
clean.
guess
And we are. So.
we are clean. And so, and she's like, and she wouldn't believe me. She said, she didn't
she
believe.
didn't
No, she was like, no, it's just like she thought it was like a control for like looking at your tickets or something. I'm like, no, I'm telling you, this,
No,
you know,
when this is happening to you, you know.
and you know, based on how the person looks and whatever, it's like, this is like an undercover intelligence person, like talking to me, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate that.
But now,
I appreciate that.
we're good. I mean, the French government is helping us. They know we're good. We're clear.
You're clear.
We're clear. But they're not monitoring us. They're not. But they had to. They had to. And we are pretty unique because you don't have startups that do
Sure.
stuff like this. No one deals
Drying
with
mud.
Yeah,
Startups drying mud.
yeah, with very high temperature and stuff.
Yeah.
No one does that. If you're a lab,
Sure.
so let's go back to what is
Switzerland? I was kidding.
No, yeah, Switzerland. It has a connection. Why French culture is like this, and why the incentive is power and vacation. And then you have to understand the mindset of French, and it took years to understand it. It comes from la bourgeoisie, or the noble, so noble.
Sure.
People. So yeah, they called it blue blood. Did you know that the nobles had blue blood?
Okay, I didn't know that.
So they said that because they never went out on the sun.
Okay.
So if you're a peasant,
Yes, you're in
you
the
work
sun
in
all
the
day.
sun,
Yeah.
so your skin tones, tans.
Sure.
But if you're a noble, you stay in, so you're white,
Sure.
and we can see your veins. So they say blue blood because we can see your veins, and this is the culture. And what does the monarchs and the nobles do? They don't work, vacation. They're in vacation all the time, and they have power.
Sure.
So this sticks into the mind of the French as the tip of societal success: is you have power and you don't work. and unconsciously, it is, and even the leftists
Sure.
do that without knowing it comes
Totally.
from
Totally.
kingly and nobly way of thinking. So the bourgeoisie, and in America you don't have that. The richest guy ever in the world wears sneakers and
Sure.
don't care, and
Yeah. Sure.
and then don't care about power, because some people do care, but I mean, it's not a social success
Correct.
to not work and have power.
Yeah, it's like socially, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do every day? And then like socially, if you're building something, creating something, doing something, like that's way more looked higher upon from a society perspective.
Yeah, socially valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
And
And
in France, what is socially valuable
totally.
is
Well, so it's very interesting, and it's just, these are fun cultural differences. Of what I've noticed is, so for obviously food and wine and that's like very big part of the culture here. And so when you understand the culture around the table, you drop knowledge around food and wine, you cook well for the French, you go like way up higher in this. You're respected.
Yeah.
It's very, very
Because
funny.
you know life.
That's I
Because
guess.
life is about food, man.
I guess. But it's true.
Yeah,
but like
people
it's
think, what's the point of life? Is it
maybe they're right. I don't know.
eat? I mean, I don't think you should go further than having kids, making money, and having good food. I mean, that's the secret of happiness. And if you have the three of them, you're in paradise.
It's true. It's like, no, I mean, I tell people all the time here, and they ask me, it's just a different thing. Like the social contract here is you deal with everything that we've spoken about, which is you deal with the fact, like if you don't come from money and you don't have a certain pedigree, largely you're just gonna the ability, unless you're a very, very, very small percentage of the population, to change your kind of outcome or your like level in society is very, like the social mobility is very low.
Yeah.
But the social contract is I'm going to give that up for lifestyle and the vacation and all that stuff. That's what this and like
in the US, anybody can become a billionaire. But
I mean, relative.
Here in France, of course, relative.
sure.
But I mean, not anybody, but a lot of people get the chance to go all the way to the top.
Sure.
Here in France, it's very difficult.
Totally.
Very, very difficult. If you haven't been to the right schools with the right people.
Well, it's just like I mean, if I were to boil it down into something very like one simple thing, it's the American kind of general mindset is definitely a mindset around abundance, and the French mindset is definitely much more around the concept of scarcity.
Oh yeah,
totally. The pie is only so big.
It has value because it's scarce.
I mean, if I could
scarce stuff.
No. It's people behave where the pie is only so big, and so if it's instead of being additive to the pie, it's about keeping people away from your part of the pie. So I remember you telling me this example. I remember I came across a company that I was interested in talking to. I think it was called BGene, and it was a biomanufacturing company down in Grenoble. And I asked you because I saw you were connected with the CEO, and you're like, sure, I'll connect you. And then you were telling me how they thought it was crazy that you connected them with an investor of yours.
They were like, nobody does that.
And like, that's so weird. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, because you keep it to yourself.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
It's such a different cultural.
Yeah,
it's so different.
True.
It's so different.
And so, because abundance brings abundance, and they don't have this mindset. This you have to fight.
No, you have to pay it forward. You have to like go out of the way and help people and do things. And it's like a very human thing where it's like, if someone does a favor for you, you will always remember it subconsciously.
Yeah.
And you always be thinking about that person.
Even myself, I still have this somewhere in my head that because I'm also French, so I can see what you're talking about. Me too, I have this scarcity way of thinking, but compared to the other French, I have more abundance. But still, it's in there.
Yeah,
it's still in there.
But part of it is true, right? Like there's less resources going back and forth. Yeah. Disposable income is way lower. It's all, like I said, it's all nothing better or worse. It's just all the system just works differently. Fundamentally works differently.
Even here, venture capital, that you will struggle like crazy to get 100,000, a couple of 100,000. In America, people will give you 5-10 million not on a pitch deck. Now they don't do that, but it's very easier and it's much more money. And then the abundance is also because the country is abundant.
Totally.
I mean, the bridge between America and France is something to build because there is many things that the French can bring to the U.S. and many things that Americans can bring to France.
Well, listen, man, they do. Like when you were talking about in the technology world, I heard an interview with what's his name, Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir. He's a character, and he had this whole rant around, he was about Europe, and he was talking about France, and he's like, and I've heard a few people say this, but specifically he was like, France, he goes, is either number 1 or number 2 in the world in technical talent for AI. He goes, if they would get their head out of I think he literally said if they got their head out of their ass, they would have some of the most interesting, best companies in the world in the field. And instead, the system here trains amazing minds, and
They will go to the US.
in a second.
Yeah.
I mean, even the OpenClaw guy, right? Like that whole thing, right? I know he's Austrian, but still, it's like, it's a perfect example. It's like, man, how does someone in Europe not be like, yo, like, we need to keep that here?
Yeah.
And what it is it's something that could fit the European model too, where it could be turned into a foundation and all this other, that would work with how you guys like doing your things,
Yeah.
But no, I get it. I respect it. I think that the reality of it is, if you're someone who wants to create stuff and try stuff, and you don't come from means, or and you want to maintain your independence and create abundance, it's the US system is just the best place to do it.
Yeah. So if we live in a simulation, and the rules of the game would be to challenge your way to do compromise. Okay, if the name of the game is you get challenges and you have to stay straight. So what is the challenge that the Americans have? What is the challenge that the French have? Because Americans have all that spirit for entrepreneurship, for tech and everything, but food is shit. I mean, there's very good food in America. Not the food is shit. The feeding system.
I can certify it. It's compare the two. It's shit.
And in France, the food is fantastic, but the entrepreneurial mind and the business spirit is shit. So can't we create a world where both work? It's Switzerland.
Back to simulation theory.
Once you win the game, you end up into Switzerland, because there you have amazing decentralized companies. You have also very centralized cement production.
Sure.
The largest cement producer in the world is a Swiss. So you have that, but you also have a network of small companies that create very precise mechanical stuff. And so they have the business thrive, they have the talent, the French talent, trained talent, and they have the best food ever.
The Swiss?
Yeah, because you have the French part, you have the German part, and the Italian part.
They get all three mixed in.
So can you imagine the food? It's crazy.
Right.
I mean, if you go in the Italian part, the food is so good. The French part as well, and the German part is
a little tougher.
Yeah, it's a bit less interesting, but still they have that entrepreneurial stuff. So it's also a philosophical and a cultural question: why they have no war, why they have the entrepreneurial spirit, and why they have the good food. It's because they are the bankers of the world and they have so much money. It's also because of that, in my opinion. So
yeah, listen, I don't think,
you see, if the world is a simulation,
but
why everybody's struggling with this or that? Why can't we have?
Because that's how you said. That's how you drive meaning. That's our job. Like, our job as humans is to complain and improve and create and grow, right? So like, if we are not growing,
if there's no challenge.
If there's no challenge, if we're not growing in our lives, we're not happy. If someone gives you, 3-year age whiskey, and you're like, no, I need 5-year age whiskey, or 10 or 20 or whatever it is, right? You're never happy.
Yeah,
like that's the human thing, So.
Yeah, even if you have everything you want, you'll create problems in order to.
Yeah, that's like That's
nature. It's
Nature.
nature of humans. Yeah.
well, the nature. My point of being when I was saying like what I was saying in the context of the simulation theory in nature is I think when you're doing simulations, you're always creating the conditions for like the most interesting outcomes, right? That's how simulations work, right? And you don't want the average outcome. Like when you're creating a simulation to like test stuff, you want to create the most messy, weird, situation. And but anyways, my point is around the simulation theory and nature was the nature keeps us in balance as biological beings and as a planet. And so I think it's kind of like over the arc of time, it kind of swings you back and forth. So it's already kind of prescribed for you. So when you think of the simulation theory, it's kind of like, well, if something's swinging that way, we need to go back this way, but
Yeah.
we're going to make it really interesting. And I think that's where we are right now today in the beginning of this new world order, where it's like we swung way too far one way with this kind of like neoliberal globalist view, print a bunch of money, like outsource
growth,
outsource it to the cheapest labor
Yeah,
market,
cheaper,
stop making stuff, like
yeah.
give a bunch of people phones, they fucking doom scroll, feed them a bunch of processed foods, and voila.
Yeah.
You know,
Put
It-
them to sleep.
literally put them to sleep. And so my point of what I'm saying is, I think we're just like, we're entering now. We're going to be swinging back towards this other way, and it's just like nature. It's like
Yeah.
we like the system was going to break, and it is breaking. And so in a weird way, we have to, and we're an interesting age, like as middle-aged guys, like we have to be like, we're stepping in, we're living through right now, we're stepping into something fundamentally different. And so it's like, instead of trying to hold on to what we had before, just be like, yo, that was like a great ride. Now we're onto something really, really interesting. Now you should maintain tradition and keep tradition, but embrace that we're entering into something new. And how I got into this whole rant, well, you were talking about where to live. And I said, at the end of the day, there's good and bad anywhere. It's also, I believe, as someone who's like spending most of my time right now, not in my own country, it's also like, where is your family from? Where are your roots from?
Yeah.
Like, where are your core relationships? Because at the end of the day, as you know, when you have kids, you only have so much time in the day. And you're like, like beyond that and work, when people ask me about being here, the thing I miss most are the smaller things, just grabbing a beer, hanging out with friends, like like playing in my weekly basketball league or whatever, like that's the thing. Those are the things you miss.
Yeah, not the great things.
Yeah. And so it's like, my point is like,
it's
to your point about where to live and all this other stuff, it's like to me, it's like, I think we've also like self-optimized for our own careers and what we want to do in our own lives and we've lost a lot of those traditions. And so I think like being rooted close to family, and so your kids can have like relationships, and as much as you can, like a strong network around them, and keep the familial unit together. I think there's something very special about that. It's really hard to do. But I think we could prioritize that more for sure.
Because people live in a segmented, everybody has their own closed environment, and we don't share as much as before. I remember before 2000, France was very different. You came into France in a different world. Before all the gates were open, you could enter anywhere. It was, and people used to live together. We had neighbors meeting all the time, having lunch together, having dinners together. Now people don't do that anymore. It's different. So you have social differences, you have cultural differences, which killed sort of the traditional way of living in communities. But at the same time, you have very innovative stuff that looks like science fiction. I mean, AI is just a crazy revolution, and the people don't know what to do with it, and people are scared or hype it, or it's just science fiction becoming real. It's crazy because I've never thought I would see it during my lifetime.
No, it's crazy.
I thought this would happen. I would be long dead before I can see walking robots
Totally.
that can think and then cite me.
And they're getting there. It's gonna be quicker than people think.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty much, like I said, maybe it's age, whatever it is, and I'm pretty convinced that, for me, for my own personal thing, I need to live in a place that has less people than a big city. Like, I think that the idea of, especially with what's going on because of technology in society, like living in a place where you're like being around more people just annoys you or is annoying versus being like, oh, I want to see people, I think is going to be a really important thing in the next kind of 20, 30 years.
Yeah, I live in the mountains, so I don't see much people when they come here to Paris. I'm amazed about how did I manage to live 10 years over
What?
here?
Now you get off the train and you're like, whoa, all right.
So many people.
Right.
And I remember I was in Australia working with a chef, and he came to Paris once in his life. It's like the only souvenir that I have from Paris is it was raining. I was in Paris. I was walking in the street, and a lady nearly stabbed me in my eye with her umbrella. and then he tried to get into the metro, and an old lady pushed him to get him to the train instead of him. It was like he was so amazed about the violence, the social violence. So
As a city, life in a city, my man.
yeah, and I think every large city is like that, and I think, I mean, I thought I was a strong person, and I could come back to the city anytime, but I can't. Now I realize if I come back here, I'll be weak.
Yeah,
weak.
I think it's not weak. It's just like a different. It's just a different rhythm. Like I don't. Yeah, it's a different rhythm.
I'll get stronger
Yeah.
if I stay.
But I think what you're saying is totally true, and it's and I'm also in a certain situation where I'm like, I have time and interest in developing new relationships, not like just like, okay, I have like, my family here, my friends here, or whatever, and I don't need anything else. You know what I mean? Like I actually have an interest in, and then generally
You're in a good place.
I hope, but I think, the reality of it is, with your point, it's like, it's also the French culture thing. Like people just don't talk. They don't hang.
Yeah.
No one hangs.
Yeah, they don't have.
People don't hang, like in general, which is a bummer. But anyways,
Yeah.
all right, my man, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, we should. What time is it?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
11:30.
Yeah, we had a long
A couple hours. All right.
Yeah, good.
I like it.
Yeah.
So anyways, anything else you want to tell folks what you're up to, where to reach out?
No, I just want to say that the love here is a great thing. It's I'm so lucky to have that kind of relationship, and I value this more than anything else, because I'm free to talk when I'm with you. I can have my opinion. We can fact check things.
Sure.
We can have debates, and this is very valuable, because today you can't have debates, and people fight, and so I'm very proud and very happy that we have this relationship, and let's do it again.
Yes.
Let's
So
do it again.
for Rafik, the first in person. Cheers. L'chaim. Santé.
Santé.
Et voilà. All right.
Hey, my friends, Jordan here. First and foremost, a sincere thank you and appreciation for all of our early listeners, readers, and supporters at Going Direct. It's really what keeps me going to do this each and every week, because there's clearly a community of folks out there looking to build a Going Direct economy, which gets me super excited. Secondly, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Our main channel and community is forming over on Substack. The link is in the show notes below. And we'll also be putting out our weekly conversations at YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I hope you all have a great day, and remember to go direct.